What up, fight fans? It's boy D Ruck, and you're watching D Ruck Boxing. Alright, so today I'm going to do my post-fight review on Joseph Parker versus Dillian Whyte fight, but I'm also going to talk about the Dave Allen Nick Webb fight, and also Carlos Takam versus Derek Chisora fight. So we'll start off with Dave Allen versus Nick Webb fight. So, just a disclaimer before all of this. I picked all of these fights wrong, and I was quite pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I got them wrong, but the fights were so entertaining that I don't care if I'm wrong. So yeah, first off fight, Dave Allen. So Dave Allen basically came out there. He was a late replacement. Came out there and was a bit of a punching bag as he is, just kind of held the centre of the ring. Nick Webb was on the outside, kind of just boxing him, and he was doing a good job as well. Openly looked like he was taking all the rounds. Every now and then the overhand right from Dave Allen would catch him, and this basically continued into the end of the fourth round, where the overhand right caught him, dropped Nick Webb through the ropes. He got back up, fell over sideways one way, got back up again, fell over sideways the other way, then just lay down on the floor like it was bedtime. That was the end of that fight. So quite enjoyable watch, to be honest. Dave Allen, I know he was having a hard time. He was starting to think to himself, should I still be doing boxing? I've made enough money to get a house. That was what I set out to do. I've kind of done what I set out to do. I'm not really making it at the top level. He's been thrown in with guys, Dillian Whyte, Luis Ortiz, Tony Yoka. The guys have kind of taken it out of him. But he got his redemption on this one, so he'll get that British title shot. Whether that'll be against Joe Joyce, I'm not too sure, but yeah, I don't know if I would favour him in that fight against Joe Joyce, but then I didn't favour him in this fight. So good one, Dave Allen. Next fight is the Derek Chisora versus Carlos Takam. Now this fight, I would say, was probably fight of the year type material. This was just the all-out war. The two guys just basically came shoulder to shoulder throughout the match and was just slugging it out with each other. Carlos Takam was the more he had the higher work rate. He was throwing more shots, and he was being quite aggressive and landing. Derek Chisora, he was taking it and then he'd give it after he took too much and was getting sick of it, and this just went back and forth, and they didn't really slow down their pace all that much. It kept on continuing into the 8th round, where Derek Chisora all of a sudden throws overhand right. I think he's shot to the body, then overhand right, catches Takam and drops him. Takam gets up, they come back together. Derek Chisora just does another big right hand and just flattens Takam, and that's it. Fight's called off. So that also, as most people would have said, Takam was probably gone in there as favourite, looking at going on Chisora's previous recent form, but he was able to pull out basically a performance that we haven't seen from this guy in years. Similar to the Dillian Whyte versus him performance. So well done, Del Boy, well done. Then we're going on to, now I'm going to be talking about the main event. So Dillian Whyte versus Joseph Parker. Dillian Whyte, he came out, he was ready to go. Joseph Parker started off initially outboxing him for the first 2 rounds. He was outboxing him, and then towards the end of the second round, there was a clash of heads, and Joseph Parker, his legs came out from under him and he went down, and they gave a count for that. So instead of it being a 10-9 round to Parker, it ended up being an 8-10 round to Dillian Whyte, because they said that there was a knockdown, where the replay actually showed later. You couldn't see it in real time. You couldn't actually tell what happened. It just looked, he threw a punch, and as he threw a punch, the heads connected and he went down, and you couldn't really tell that in real time. So you know, I can kind of excuse the referee for that, because even myself initially I thought that Dillian Whyte connected with him. Wasn't until the slow motion replay showed later on from different angles that no, it was a head clash. This head clash basically caused Joseph Parker to be a bit kind of he wasn't able to follow his game plan. I think his equilibrium was not so great. Something about a busted eardrum. So the word was after the fight. So for the next 2 rounds he didn't really do so well, and then he kind of started coming back, becoming a little bit more even. Dillian Whyte was having good success to the body, and this was making Joseph Parker blow heavy. You could actually see, I think the success that he was having to the body was a main reason for what looked to be fatigue from Joseph Parker. He was having trouble keeping his hands up. He was getting punched in the face. Dillian Whyte was outworking him. He was being really quite physical with him. Tackled him at one point, pushed him over the ropes. He was pushing his head down and leaning on him, putting his weight on him, and it was just all around roughing him up. And these are the tactics that Dillian Whyte were going to bring, and Joseph Parker kind of didn't react to the tactics. You know, he allowed him to do it, and he didn't try to do it back to him or anything like that. And this was giving Dillian an edge. I think in the 8th round, that's when Dillian Whyte caught Joseph Parker and put him down, put him to the floor, legitimate one as well. And this is when Dillian could have jumped on him and finished him, but Parker was able to survive. He survived that round, and he kept on going. And as the fight wore on, Dillian started to fade. His energy levels, he started fatiguing, and it wasn't until the 12th round, whereas basically Kevin Barry started swearing at Joseph Parker in the corner, you know, telling him that you need to empty the tank, or this is your chance, he's there to be finished. If you want to finish him, then it's now or never. And so Joseph Parker actually switched gears in that 12th round and came out firing, and with 20 seconds to go on the 12th round, he was able to floor Dillian Whyte. And Dillian Whyte dropped down to his knees. His brother was right there through the ropes, slamming on it. Dillian, get up! He gets up. Joseph Parker goes in. He didn't quite go in for the kill, not like what we see from Wilder. You know, when some of these boxers, once they smell the kill, they just go into animal mode. It's just feeding frenzy. But Joseph Parker didn't do that, you know. He had 20 seconds to finish him, and he didn't finish him. Dillian Whyte was able to grab on and just hold and not allow him to get his arms swinging, and went to a points decision. Dillian Whyte won a unanimous points decision. Well done to both fighters. Well done to all the fighters on that. There was an awesome undercard. It was a great night of boxing. Well done. And I'm sure that Joseph Parker can come back from this. I'm sure that people will want to see him fight again. He made a good account of himself. It was a lot more exciting, a lot more punches thrown, and he's only young. For Dillian Whyte, this is, you know, he's catapulted himself right up there for AJ contention. You just can't keep on fobbing the guy off. He's got to get his title shot at some time. Whether that's against Deontay or AJ, we're not too sure yet. But I would say that the WBC have to look at him as being the mandatory, if they can get this Brazil thing out of the way. But Dillian Whyte really has put himself into title contention big time. For Joseph Parker, yeah, he can always come back. He can always make other big fights and work his way back up. Maybe Del Boy fights on the card. Maybe he fights Luis Ortiz or Jarrell Miller, Brian Jennings. Who knows? Maybe he goes back to New Zealand and creates a bit of a profile. I mean, these were away fights. It's always harder when it's an away fight. I mean, if it was down in New Zealand, maybe it would have been a different result. But good on both guys. Like and subscribe. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Let me know your guys' opinions on it. And I will catch you in another video.